Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. We're reading the Srimad-Bhagavatam, although we plan to read the Bhagavatam and the Gita, which we already have again, and Chaitanya Charitamrita also, and we'll keep circulating through these literatures to give us a chance to understand them more and more thoroughly and to fix them up in our hearts. In the beginning of the Bhagavatam, there's a verse, Nigama Kalpa Tador Galitam Palam. The word palam means fruit, and the word nigama means shruti. There's two words, agama, which means smriti, and nigama means shruti. So nigama kalpa tador galitam palam means that the Srimad Bhagavatam is actually the ripened fruit of the shruti. And in the Tattva Sandarbha, which I was fortunate enough to help edit for the BBT, Gopi Prananda's translation, Jiva Goswami concludes and proves that the Srimad Bhagavatam is actually Shruti. It's not Smriti. The word Shruti means the co-eternal sound that coexists with Krishna and enters into the material world, the beginning of each creation, and contains the codes of information that direct Brahma and then those following in Brahma's footsteps to create the universe and maintain the universe. And it never changes, the Shruti. Even the inflections of the sounds of the language and the language itself, the sound vibration, it cannot change. Otherwise it stops being Shruti. But the Smriti means to remember. Shruti means to hear, and Smriti means to remember. So the Smriti explain the Shruti to the living beings in the material world. Not just the living beings, the human beings on the earthly plane. The language of the Shruti is not meant to be understood by human society. It is meant to be understood by the higher beings in the higher planets. So the Smriti means remembrance. It's an explanation of the Shruti. It doesn't change the meaning of the Shruti at all, but it can come through different sages at different times with different words. So this is the difference between the Shruti and the Smriti. So it's very interesting analysis by Jiva Goswami, who is reputed to be, by our acharyas, to be the greatest scholar in the world, history of the world. He had every single verse, every single word of every single verse in the palm of his hand. He knew it all by heart, and he knew all the meanings, and he knew how it all fit together. And Srila Prabhupada sometimes would call the Bhagavatam Samam Bonam. Sometimes he called the 10th Canto of Samam Bonam, because it's just about Krishna, who is the source of it all. Sometimes he would call the Bhagavatam Samam Bonam. It was his magnum opus. And it's meant to teach us the goal of philosophy, the goal of knowledge. We have scientific knowledge now, which has devised in mathematic formulas how the universal laws are working. But it's just a description. It doesn't say anything about why or how or when they started. So the Bhagavatam does all of that. It describes all of that for us. And if we can hear it submissively and by repeated hearing, remember the essence of it, at least the essence of it, then we can know who we are, what the world is, why it's here, the laws that govern it. So here we are. Hare Krishna. Sanatana Goswami, the uncle of Jiva Goswami, wrote a poem, a prayer, a stotra, glorifying the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which we recite every day for our edification and to help us go deeper in appreciation and affection for the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Because the goal is to get affection for Krishna. Okay, here is Srimad-Bhagavata Mahima Stotram from Srila Sanatana Goswami. It goes like this. Sarva Shastabdi Priyusha Sarva Vidaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu, Kalidwan Dotitaditya, Shri Krishna Parivartita. Oh, I'm sorry. O life, heir of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Shri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshakshadayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madhika Bando Matsangin Madguro Man Mahadana Man Nistadaga Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhu tadayin atini chochatakara hanamun chagadachin mam premnarit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Jad Bharat is responding to Maharaja Rahugana's objections to what he already taught him. Chapter 12, text 8, canto 5. Beginning with text 8, sorry. Hare Krishna. Haribol.
Sorry to interrupt. I just got into town.
You're not interrupting at all. You're just in time for the beginning. Hare Krishna. All of us on the surface of the globe are living entities in different forms. Some of us are moving and some are not moving. All of us come into existence, remain for some time, and are annihilated when the body is again mingled with the earth. We are all simply different transformations of earth. Different bodies and capacities are simply transformations of the earth that exist in name only, for everything grows out of the earth. And when everything is annihilated, it again mingles with the earth. In other words, We are but dust, and we shall be, but dust be, but we shall but be dust. Everyone can consider this point. We'll read it again so that we can better consider it. In other words, we are but dust, and we shall but be dust. Everyone can consider this point. Purport. In the Brahma Sutra, it is said, Tad ananyatvam arambam bana shabdabibhya 2.1.14. This cosmic manifestation is a mixture of matter and spirit. But the cause is the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, in Srimad-Bhagavatam 1.5.20, it is said, Idam hi vishwam bhagavan ivetada. The entire cosmic manifestation is but a transformation of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because of illusion, no one can appreciate that God is non-different from this material world. Actually, He is not different, but this material world is simply a transformation of His different energies. Parasya, Shaktir, Bibidaiva, Shruyate. There are also other versions of this in the Vedas. Sarvam Kalavidam Brahma. Matter and spirit are all non-different from the Supreme Brahman, Bhagavan. Lord Sri Krishna confirms this statement in the Bhagavad Gita 7.4. Me bina prakritir ashtada. The material energy is Krishna's energy, but it is separated from Him. The spiritual energy is also His energy, but it is not separated from Him. When the material energy is engaged in the service of the Supreme Spirit, so-called material energy is also transformed into spiritual energy. Just as an iron rod becomes fire when placed in contact with fire. When we can understand by an analytical study that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all causes, our knowledge is perfect. Simply understanding the transformations of different energies is partial knowledge. We must come to the ultimate cause. Na te vidu swarga swarta gatim hi vishnum. The knowledge of those who are not interested in knowing the original cause of all emanations is never perfect knowledge. There is nothing in the phenomenal world that is not produced by the supreme energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aromas from the earth are different scents, manufactured and used for different purposes. But the original cause is the earth, nothing else. A water pot made of earth can be used to carry water for some time, but ultimately the pot is nothing but earth. Therefore, there is no difference between the pot and its original ingredient, earth. It is simply a different transformation of the energy. Originally, the cause or primary ingredient is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the varieties are only byproducts. In the Chandogya Upanishad, it is stated, Yata somyekena mritpindena sarvam mrimayam bigyatam syad vachadambanam bikaro namabhyayam mritikate jeva satyam. If one studies the earth, he naturally understands the byproducts of the earth. The Vedas therefore enjoin, Kasmin nu bhagabo bigyate sarvam idam bigyatam bhavatiti. Mundaka Upanishad 1.3. If one simply understands the original cause, Krishna, the cause of all causes, then naturally everything else is understood, although it may be presented in different varieties. But understanding the original cause of different varieties, by understanding the original cause of different varieties, one can understand everything. If we understand Krishna, the original cause of everything, we do not need to separately study the subsidiary varieties. Therefore, from the very beginning, it is said, Satyam Param Dhimahi. One has to concentrate one's understanding on the supreme truth, Krishna, or Vasudeva. The word Vasudeva indicates the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all causes. Matstani sarvabhutani nachaham te shavastitaha. This is a summary of phenomenal and nominal philosophy. Due to our ignorance, the Supreme Lord is not perceived in everything. Text 9. One may see that varieties arise from the planet Earth itself. However, although the universe may temporarily appear to be the truth, it ultimately has no real existence. The Earth was originally created by a combination of atomic particles, but these particles are impermanent. Actually, the atom is not the cause of the universe, although some philosophers think so. It is not a fact that the varieties found in this material world simply result from atomic juxtaposition or combination. Purport. Those who follow the atomic theory think that the protons and electrons of atoms combine in such a way as to bring all material existence into being. However, the scientists failed to discover the cause of atomic existence itself. Under these circumstances, we cannot accept that the atom is the cause of the universe. Such theories are advanced by unintelligent people. According to real intelligence, the real cause of the cosmic manifestation is the Supreme Lord. Janmad yasya yataha. He is the original cause of all creation. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Ahang sarvasya prabhavo mattak sarvam pravartate. Krishna is the original cause, sarva karana karanam. He is the cause of all causes. Krishna is the cause of atoms, the material energy. Bhumir apo nalo vayu kammano buddhir evacha ahankara itiya me bina prakritir ashtada. Bhagavad Gita 7.4. The ultimate cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and only those in ignorance try to find out other causes by posing different theories. Text 10. Since this universe has no real ultimate existence, the things within it, shortness, differences, grossness, skinniness, smallness, bigness, results, cause, living symptoms, and materials, are all imagined. They are all pots made of the same substance, earth, but they are named differently. The differences are characterized by the substance, nature, predisposition, time, and activity. You should know that all these are simply mechanical manifestations created by material nature. Purport. The temporary manifestations and varieties within this material world are simply creations of material nature under various circumstances. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. The actions and reactions carried out by the material nature are sometimes accepted as our scientific inventions. Therefore, we want to take credit for them and defy the existence of God. This is described in Bhagavad Gita 3.27. Ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. Due to being covered by the illusory external energy, the living entity tries to take credit for the differentiated creations within the material world. Actually, All these are being created automatically by the material force set in motion by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the ultimate cause is the Supreme Person. As stated in Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the cause of all causes, the ultimate cause. In this regard, Srila Madhvacharya says, Evam Sarvam Tata Prakritvaya Kalpitam Vishnur Anyat Evam Prakritya Dara Swayam Ananya Daro Vishnur Eva Atak Sarva Shabdas Chatasmin Eva. Actually, the original cause is Lord Vishnu. But out of ignorance, people think that matter is the cause of everything. Raja Gopa Chayo Bhumni Sharanam Chitalaukikaha Vyabharo Natat Satyam Tvayor Brahm Ashrayo Vibhuhu. Things are contemplated on the ephemeral or external platform. But actually, this is not the truth. The actual protector and shelter of everyone is Brahman, the Supreme, not the King. Goptri chatasya prakritis tasya Vishnu swayam prabhuhu tava goptrit kopatrip tava goptri tu pritivi natvam gopta chite smritaha atak sarva shrayais chaiva gopta cha hari ishwaraha sarva shabda sarva shabda bideyascha shabdivriter hikaranam sarvan tadak sarva bahir eka eva janardanaha. The actual protectress is the material nature, but Vishnu is her Lord. He is the Lord of everything. Lord Janardana is the director, both externally and internally. He is the cause of the function of words and what is expressed in all sound. Shiraso dardata yadbad grivayas tad badevatu ashrayatvam chagoptritvam anyesham upacharataha. Lord Vishnu is the resting place of the entire creation. Brahmano hi pratishtaham. Bhagavad Gita 14:27. On Brahman, everything is resting. All the universes are resting on the Brahma Jyoti, and all the planets are resting on the universal atmosphere. In each and every planet, there are oceans, hills, states, and kingdoms, and each planet is giving shelter to so many living entities. They are all standing on the earth of feet and legs, torso and shoulders. But actually everything is resting ultimately on the potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is known ultimately as Sarva Karana, Karanam, the cause of all causes. Text 11. What then is the absolute, the ultimate truth? The answer is that non-dual knowledge is the ultimate truth. It is devoid of the contamination of material qualities. It gives us liberation. It is the one without a second, all-pervading and beyond imagination. The first realization of that knowledge is Brahman. Then Paramatma, the Supersoul, is realized by the yogis who try to see him without grievance. This is the second stage of realization. Finally, full realization of the same supreme knowledge is realized in the Supreme Person. All learned scholars describe the Supreme Person as Vasudeva, the cause of Brahman, Paramatma, and others. Purport. In Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said, Yad advaitam brahmo padachari yad apyasya tenuba. The impersonal Brahman effulgence of the Absolute Truth consists of the bodily rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ya'at mantaryami purusho itiso shangsha vibhava. What is known as Atma and Antaryami, the Supersoul, is but an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sadaishvar yai purno yahiha bhagavan saswayamayam. What is described as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, complete with all 6 opulences, is Vasudeva. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from him. Great learned scholars and philosophers accept this after many, many births. Vasudeva Savamiti Samahatma Sadurlabhaha. Bhagavad Gita 7:19. The wise man can understand that ultimately Vasudeva, Krishna, is the cause of Brahman and Paramatma, the Supersoul. Thus Vasudeva is Sarva Karanam, the cause of all causes. This is confirmed in Srimad-Bhagavatam. The real tattva, absolute truth, is Bhagavan. But due to incomplete realization of the absolute truth, people sometimes describe the same Vishnu as impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma. Vedanti tat vavidas tatvam yaj jnanam advayam brahmiti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabhyate. From the very beginning, Srimad-Bhagavatam says, Satyam Padam Dhimahi, Bhagavatam 1:1:1. We meditate on the Supreme Truth. The Supreme Truth is explained here as Jnanam, Vishuddham, Satyam. The Absolute Truth is devoid of material contamination and is transcendental to the material qualities. It gives all spiritual success and liberation from this material world. That Supreme Absolute Truth is Krishna, Vasudeva. There is no difference between Krishna's inner self and outward body. Krishna is Purna, the complete whole. There is no distinction between his body and his soul, as there is between ours. Sometimes so-called scholars, not knowing the constitutional position of Krishna, mislead people by saying that the Krishna within is different from the Krishna without. When Krishna says, Manmana bhavamad bhakto madjaji mam namaskuru, so-called scholars advise the reader that it is not the person Krishna to whom we must surrender, but the Krishna within. This is called word jugglery. The so-called scholars, Mayavadis, cannot understand Krishna with their poor fund of knowledge. One should therefore approach an authorized person to understand Krishna. The spiritual master has actually seen Krishna, therefore he can explain him properly. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upatekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tatvadarshinaha. Bhagavad Gita 4:34. Without approaching an authorized person, one cannot understand Krishna. Text 12. My dear King Rahugana, unless one has the opportunity to smear his entire body with the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, one cannot realize the absolute truth. One cannot realize the absolute truth simply by observing celibacy, brahmacharya, strictly following the rules and regulations of householder life, leaving home as a vanaprastha, accepting sannyas, or undergoing severe penances in winter by keeping oneself submerged in water, or surrounding oneself in summer by fire and the scorching heat of the sun. There are many other processes to understand the absolute truth. But the absolute truth is only revealed to one who has attained the mercy of a great devotee. Purport. Actual knowledge of transcendental bliss can be bestowed upon anyone by a pure devotee. Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atmabhaktau. One cannot attain the perfection of spiritual life simply by following the directions of the Vedas. One has to approach a pure devotee, anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma janavritam. By the grace of such a devotee, one can understand the absolute truth, Krishna, and one's relationship with him. A materialistic person sometimes thinks that simply by executing pious activities and remaining at home, one can understand the absolute truth. That is denied in this verse. No one can understand the absolute truth simply by observing the rules and regulations of brahmacharya, celibacy. One only has to serve the pure devotee. That will help one understand the absolute truth without fail. Text 13. Who are the pure devotees mentioned here? In an assembly of pure devotees, there is no question of discussing material subjects like politics and sociology. In an assembly of pure devotees, there is discussion only of the qualities, forms, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is praised and worshipped with full attention. In the association of pure devotees, by constantly hearing such topics respectfully, even a person who wants to merge into the existence of the absolute truth abandons this idea and gradually becomes attached to the service of Vasudeva. Purport. The symptoms of pure devotees are described in this verse. The pure devotee is never interested in material topics. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has strictly prohibited his devotees to talk about worldly matters. Gramya varta na kahibe. One should not indulge in talking unnecessarily about news of the material world. One should not waste time in this way. There is a very important feature. This is a very important feature in the life of a devotee. A devotee has no other ambition than to serve Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This Krishna consciousness movement was started to engage people 24 hours daily in the service of the Lord and in His glorification. The students of this institution engage in the cultivation of Krishna consciousness from 5 in the morning to 10 at night. They actually have no opportunity to waste their time unnecessarily by discussing politics, sociology, and current events. These will go their own way. I'll repeat that. These will go their own way. And nothing you can do or say can stop it. A devotee is concerned only with serving Krishna positively and seriously. Confirmed?
Hi.
You heard it. Text 14. In a previous birth, I was known as Maharaja Bharata. I attained perfection by becoming completely detached from material activities through direct experience, and through indirect experience, I received understanding from the Vedas. I was fully engaged in the service of the Lord, but due to my misfortune, I became very affectionate to a small deer, so much so that I neglected my spiritual duties. Due to my deep affection for the deer, in my next life, I had to accept the body of a deer. Purport. The incident herein described is very significant. In a previous verse it is stated, Bina mahat pada rajo pishekam One cannot attain perfection without smearing the dust from the lotus feet of an exalted devotee on his head. If one always follows the orders of the spiritual master, there is no question of falling down. As soon as a foolish disciple tries to overtake his spiritual master and becomes ambitious to occupy his post, he immediately falls down. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado yasya prasana nanaki patkatopi. If the spiritual master is considered an ordinary man, the disciple surely loses his chance to advance further. Despite a very rigid life in devotional service, Bharata Maharaj did not consult a spiritual master when he became overly attached to a deer. Consequently, he became strongly attached to the deer, and forgetting his spiritual routine, he fell down. Text 15. My dear heroic king, due to my past sincere service to the Lord, I could remember everything of my past life, even while in the body of a deer. Because I am aware of the fall down of my past life, I always keep myself separate from the association of ordinary men. Being afraid of their bad materialistic association, I wander alone, unnoticed by others. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita it is said, Swalpam apyasya dharmasya, 240. It is certainly a great fault to go from human life to animal life, but in the case of Bharata Maharaj or any devotee, devotional service to the Lord never goes in vain. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 8.6, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajat yante kalevaram. At the time of death, by nature's law, the mind is absorbed in a certain type of thinking. This may lead one to animal life. Yet for a devotee, there is no loss. Even though Bharata Maharaj received the body of a deer, he didn't forget his position. Consequently, in the body of a deer, he was very careful to remember the cause of his fall down. As a result, he was given a chance to be born in the family of very pure brahmanas. Thus his service to the Lord never went in vain. Text 16. Simply by giving up the association of worldly people and associating with exalted devotees, anyone can attain perfection of knowledge, and with the sword of knowledge can cut to pieces the illusory associations within this material world. Through the association of devotees, one can engage in the service of the Lord by hearing and chanting Shravanam, Kirtanam. Thus, one can revive his dormant Krishna consciousness, and sticking to the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, return home, back to Godhead, even in this life. What a verse. I'm going to read that again. Don't mind. Like it or not, here it goes. Tasman naro sangha susangha jata jnanasine hai vivrik navoaha harim tad iha katana shudhabhyam labda smritir yat yatiparam adbanaha. Simply by giving up the association of worldly people and associating with exalted devotees, anyone can attain perfection of knowledge, and with the sword of knowledge can cut to pieces the illusory associations within this material world. Through the association of devotees, one can engage in the service of the Lord by hearing and chanting Shravanam, Kirtanam. Thus one can revive his dormant Krishna consciousness and, sticking to the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, return home, back to Godhead, even in this life. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. What a translation. Wow. Purport. Plus, all glories to the editors. Jai Dvaita Maharaj, Dravida, and others. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th canto, 12th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled The Conversation Between Rahugana and Jada. That was a mouthful, an earful. There's a verse, I think, in 11th to 12th canto that talks about how the ear is like the sky. As much you put in, there's always more room for more. Okay.
Maharaj,
Yes.
did you read the purport to that last one?
Yeah.
Did you?
Did we read the purport to the last one? I don't know. I got so wound up by the verse, I forgot. Okay. Thank you. You should be in the fact checker. Bhakti Doug's our fact checker. Okay, we get a chance to clap twice. It was so good. It was so good, this chapter. Purport. To become liberated from material bondage, one must give up the association of worldly people and accept association of devotees. Positive and negative processes are mentioned in this regard. Through the association of devotees, one develops Krishna consciousness, which is dormant within. This Krishna consciousness movement is giving this chance to everyone. We are giving shelter to everyone who is serious about progressing in Krishna consciousness. We arrange for their lodging and board so that they can peacefully cultivate Krishna consciousness and return home, back to Godhead, even in this life. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th canto, 12th chapter, Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled The Conversation Between Maharaja Rahugana and Jada. Thanks to Bhakti Doug. We got to clap twice and hear the purport to that wonder. That verse was so deep, it was like a purport. I just slipped right through. Okay. Chapter 13. Oh my God. Further talks between King Rahugana and Jada. I mean, if that isn't enough, there's more to it than that. Whew. Hard to believe. Okay. Summary. The Brahmana Jada became very kind to King Rahugana, and to disassociate him from the material world, he spoke figuratively of the forest of the material world. He explained that this material world is like a great forest in which one becomes entangled due to association with material life. In this forest, there are plunderers, the 6 senses, as well as carnivorous animals like jackals, wolves, and lions, wife, children, and other relatives, who are always anxious to suck the blood from the head of the family. The forest plunderers and the carnivorous blood-sucking animals combine to exploit the energy of a man within this material world. In this forest, there is also a black hole covered by grass into which one may fall. Coming into the forest and being captivated by so many material attractions, one identifies himself with this material world, society, friendship, love, and family. Having lost the path and not knowing where to go, being harassed by animals and birds, one is also victimized by many desires. Thus one works very hard within the forest and wanders here and there. He becomes captivated by temporary happiness and becomes aggrieved by so-called distress. Sometimes he is attacked by a snake, deep sleep, and due to the snake bite, he loses consciousness and becomes puzzled and bewildered about discharging his duties. Sometimes he is attracted by women other than his wife and thus he thinks and enjoys extramarital love with another woman. And thus he thinks he enjoys extramarital love with another woman. He is attacked by various diseases, by lamentation, and by summer and winter. Thus, one within the forest of the material world suffers the pangs of material existence, expecting to become happy. The living entity changes his position from one place to another. But actually, a materialistic person within the material world is never happy. Being constantly engaged in materialistic activities, he is always disturbed. He forgets that one day he has to die. Although he suffers severely, being illusioned by the material energy, he still hankers after material happiness. In this way, he completely forgets his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By hearing this from Jada Bharata, Maharaja Rahugana revived his Krishna consciousness and thus benefited from Jada Bharata's association. He could understand that his illusion was over, and he begged pardon from Jada Bharata for his misbehavior. All this was told by Maharaj Parikshit by Shukadev Goswami. And I will end the reading for today. Hare Krishna. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jada Bharata ki jai. Okay. It's your turn. There's a lot to take in. Okay, Bhakti and Hannah.
I really liked this from text 8. If we understand Krishna, the original cause of everything, we do not need to separately study the subsidiary varieties. Therefore, from the very beginning it is said, Satyam Param Dhimahi. One has to concentrate one's understanding on the supreme truth, Krishna, or Vasudeva. The word Vasudeva indicates the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all causes. And then I had a question. Did you want to say anything about that?
I think Jada Bharata said it all. Go ahead.
We then read, I don't know which text this was. Since this universe has no real ultimate existence, the things within it, shortness, differences, grossness, skinniness, smallness, bigness, result, cause, living symptoms, and materials are all imagined. They are all pots made of the same substance, earth, but they are named differently. The differences are characterized by the substance, nature, predisposition, time, and activity. So my question is, what does this mean by living symptoms and nature in this paragraph? So
it is a poetic description of everything of material existence. It's not possible to describe everything in detail. But a poetic description is one who is a list of things that if you understand the depth of it and the breadth of it, then you can understand that it's describing everything. Like Prabhupada gave an example that everything in mathematics can be understood through the relationships between the integers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And all of mathematics are, an explanation of those things. So if you understand those things deeply, the integers and the relationships, then you can understand everything about mathematics. Without that, you can't understand anything about mathematics. So it's a poetic description of the material characteristics of material nature, not the whole, every single thing, but enough to represent the breadth of it, so we can understand that all these things, they come and they go. All these things come and go. It doesn't mean that they're not real. It means that they are temporary. Maharaj, we've been keeping your seat warm for you.
I have to go out to a program.
Oh my God, we're bereft. Completely bereft.
Warm and loving embrace. Okay. Pray for me that I can
I got
speak
something today. I got something today at least. We just read about this. Association with pure devotees. If we take advantage of it, then we can understand the absolute truth.
The philosophy is perfect. I don't know about the application.
Well, come tomorrow night and we'll discuss it. Hare Krishna. Sorry, everybody out there. We stood right in front of the camera. We got carried away by love, and therefore we forgot where we were and what we were doing. So, all of you out there in cyberspace who are cursing us right now because we were standing in your way and you couldn't see very well, you please forgive us, and you'll make tremendous advancement in spiritual life. Hare Krishna. So that's the essence of that. Yes, something? Someone else? Honest John, you got that look in your eye and you're scratching your head. You got something there.
Well, I just it was talking about this the importance of the association of devotees, and I thought that was good, to stay in association with devotees is a sure way to make it back to Godhead. So I like that. That this is I like to keep things simple. So,
Simple John.
Simple John.
Honest, simple, uncle. I mean, you're going for it, We're never going to let you go.
I hope not. I don't want to go anywhere. I'm good.
So I want to elaborate a little bit, if I could, with your permission and the permission of all the Vaishnavas. When it says that to be in the association of the devotees, is a safe, position. There's also a very nice verse that says that being in this material world is like being, in a fire, in a cage, filled with fire, and the association of devotees surrounds us, and we're safe from the fire. And part of it is, and this is something we may not sometimes express or accept as mercy, but when you stay in the association or the society of devotees, you get another kind of protection, because everybody's looking. Why did you say that? Why did you do that? In other words, there's a kind of social pressure that helps us stay on the line, stay in the game, and not deviate. Because another description of material existence is, and even about devotional service, is that it's like a sharpened razor. Anyway, women don't shave their faces, but us men, maybe you shave your legs or something. But anyway, when you shave, if you're very careful, you can just get a very smooth shave, but if you're inattentive, then you get cut. Especially those of us who shave our heads, we tend to do that sometimes. So, so that's another aspect of the mercy of the company of devotees, the society of devotees. It keeps us on the straight and narrow. But we have to respond. It's our duty to respond properly and, adjust ourselves to be able to live in the society of devotees peacefully. I mean, I have to say, just honestly, from my heart to your hearts, I so much appreciate the devotees who are in this room and who come every night, or almost every night. We're developing a very sweet Sangha. My humble opinion. And I think we can all feel it and taste it. And, if we were to go like this further and further together, you can imagine what the associates of Lord Chaitanya must have been like when they were together with Lord Chaitanya. I mean, pretty good. There's a description that the associates of Lord Chaitanya, the eternal associates, are just that. They're eternal associates. They're eternally liberated, and therefore, just to hear their names liberates you. I'm getting this sensation because I'm reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita so carefully in the morning to record it all properly. And we just finished doing the 9th chapter, 10th chapter, 11th chapter, the associates, the Chaitanya tree, the eternal associates of Lord Chaitanya, and their branches, and Nityananda and the branches of his branch of the tree, and Gadadhar Pandit, just so sweet, just to hear the names. And then Prabhupada's got these wonderful purports which describe all these places and how you can get there. You take this railway and you get up at this rail station, and then you go 1 mile this way, and then you turn left. He gives you this Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in this Anubhashya, Amrita Bhavashya, Anubhashya. He describes all these things. And just by hearing about them, even if you don't go there, the sound of it is not different than going there. So anyway, Hare Krishna. It's so sweet to hear the Bhagavatam every day like this. And we can feel ourselves being elevated. And Hare Krishna. Okay. We've been doing pretty good. We've brought Shvetadweep on board. He's now recording along with Gora. So we're able to keep it more. Yes, we have something.
This is in text 14 purport. Text 14 purport, it says like Bharat Maharaj did not consult a spiritual master when he became overly attached to a deer. Consequently, he became strongly attached to the deer, and forgetting his spiritual routine, he fell down. So can you explain this, like what type of all action we have to concern with our spiritual master?
Everything. But if we are accustomed to associate regularly with the spiritual master, and if we're accustomed to learning his instructions, Vani, and trying to put them in practice, then we associate with the spiritual master like that. In other words, we can consult the spiritual master by his words, not just by his physical presence. So we are very fortunate because we have Srila Prabhupada's association through his transcendental literatures, through his voice, his lectures, his letters, and his devotees, his direct disciples who were with him and saw his standard he set. And so in this way we get the association of devotees. And when we have a question about whether or not something is right or wrong or what to do about it, and we get to that point where we can inquire like that by ourselves committing and trying to hear and trying to understand these scriptures. Yeah? And then if you do that deeply, then you get the intelligence from the scriptures themselves, which are not different than Krishna and not different than the spiritual personalities that are being described and who are discussing, and the spiritual masters. And then you'll know what to ask. You have to know what to ask. Absurd inquiry is not recommended. That's described in the 34th chapter of the 4th verse. Purport. So Jad Bharat was in the forest by himself, and it is a bona fide process to go when a king, especially a king of his stature, who was the king of the world and the son of an incarnation of God, it is the natural, especially in other ages. In this age, not. In this age, it's Nam Sankirtan. It's Harinama. But in those ages, it was going to the forest, renunciation, and doing austerities and sacrifice, and all those things. But even if you do those things, you have to consult the instructions, consult the brahmanas in those days, and he didn't do that. He knew, because he was raised in the Vedic culture, he was raised by, and taught by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. So he knew better. Now, Sanatana Goswami says in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita that there are certain exalted persons in these scriptures who actually do things on purpose. And you remember when we read that part? It said he purposefully did it. Now there's different ways of understanding this and seeing this. Purposely, just like Prabhupada used this example. You've come to Krishna consciousness and you used to hang out with your friends and they used to smoke cigarettes, and you give it up in devotional life. But then sometime you get together with old friends and they bring you over and they say, like old days, here you go. And you just, like out of habit, out of force of habit and the association of those persons, you smoke a cigarette. Well, when you smoke the cigarette, you have to consciously go, so it's purpose, in sense it's purposeful. But it's due to overwhelming circumstances. It's accident. It's like an accident. So that's one aspect of purposeful. But the other aspect of purposeful, if it's premeditated, and planned out, and philosophically, adjusted, and you think you can get away with it or something like that. So, and there's another idea of purposeful that Sanatana Goswami brings out, and that is that sometimes persons who are really exalted, and this Maharaja is really, his whole planet's named after him, so he's very, very exalted. So another aspect is that sometimes people of his nature, they'll do something purposefully and fall down from it to show others what not to do. So he's showing us what not to do. Don't do something silly, whimsical, without checking with authority, without checking with spiritual authority. In his case, he was highly educated, and he could have consulted the instructions that he got from his father, God himself, but he didn't. So therefore it says he purposefully did this and didn't consult with the spiritual master. So in order to know what to inquire, what not to inquire, we have to ourselves, it's not that the spiritual master or Krishna does these things for us. We have a certain independence, tiny independence, being souls, part of Krishna, and we have to use that independence properly. So just like Prabhupada used to say, if you're looking for gold, for instance, say since you want to find, you're looking for gold, but you don't know what it looks like, you don't know what its properties are, you don't know how to test it, and you meet some shyster and he sells you a box of cornflakes, and he charges you $50,000 or something like that, or $1 million, whatever. That's your own foolishness. You know, if you're looking for gold, you have to yourself learn what gold is, how to test it. So when the coins used to be gold, when people, they used to go like this, and they'd bite on it, and they could, I don't know how that worked, but somehow or other they would bite on it, and I don't know, maybe they could feel it's a little bit flexible or something. I don't know what it is, but they had a kind of thing that they carried with them, and they would scrape it, and then they would tell whether it was actually gold. Or maybe they scraped it to see if it was just polish, or so it was actually gold all the way through. So we should always check, but at the same time we should learn, and we should assimilate the knowledge, and we should know what to do and not do. And if we don't, then we should check, then we should ask authority. Somebody from cyberspace. Okay, cyberspace, talk away.
It's from Sudevi Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Sudevi Dasi. I thanked you yesterday, but maybe I said in response to Jayashri name. Somebody told me that I got the name wrong. Anyway, thank you very much for that lovely note and the lozenges. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Since we are getting attached to one another's association here at your daily readings, will we be together in the spiritual world serving Krishna and recognize everyone?
I don't know that for sure, but one thing is for sure: we don't need to recognize who we were in these bodies. I mean, why would I want to why do I want to be recognized in this piece of meat? You know, it's not necessary. We're thinking like that now because we're sentimental towards each other, and we, these particular bodies, and maybe, I mean, since I'm not there, I can't tell you for sure, but one thing for sure, you'll be with Krishna, and you'll be with your spiritual master, and you'll be with all the devotees. I mean, Prabhupada did say we'll have an ISKCON in the spiritual world. I don't know if he means an ISKCON in the same form as we have now. I don't think we need to go out with a book bag with with Bhagavatam to pass out to the people. Although Prabhupada did say that the hearing and chanting will go on and the reading will go on, so maybe they have some form of it in the spiritual. I don't know. We don't hear about that in the Bhagavatam and in the Rasa Shastras, the descriptions of the Goloka, Vrindavan, and Vaikuntha planets. I think it's too ecstatic to think about. Why would we want to remember the material world? I don't think so. Maybe there'll be a sense of it, so we don't, come back here again, but Hare Krishna. I mean, try to understand, in the spiritual world, Krishna manifests his unlimited ability to be with everyone at the same time. Whereas when he comes to the material world, he agrees to accept certain conditions, although he can break it whenever he wants. But in order to come into the material world and have his pastimes, it's called Prakat Lila. And his Prakat Lila, he agrees to, more or less live within the confines of the laws of nature. Therefore he appears to grow up. But the difference is when he gets to 16, he stops growing up. And he goes from one place to another, and his devotees in Dwarka have to feel separation when he's in Hastinapur, and when he leaves Vrindavan, they all feel separation for the rest of their lives, and on and on and on. But in the spiritual world, everyone feels his presence all the time, literally. But sometimes he gives them a sense of being separated, and they feel those emotions, only they're deep emotions, deeper than we can imagine. I don't know how I got off on that. Oh, Sudevi asked me about, do we remember each other in the spiritual world? Maybe. I sure hope I get to meet Prabhupada in the spiritual world again, but it won't be the same form. See, that's the point. It won't be exactly the same form. Therefore, it won't be the same, but it'll be the same. And with that, I'm going to move on, and because I got to get up really early tomorrow and record. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hari Bol. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Jad Bharat ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari, see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Yes, 6:30 tomorrow. Same place, same station. Rata Lane ki jai.